You become more powerful when you go through adversity because you have many different starting points that are being revealed to you through your adversity. And then you start to remember your natural state. You're a spiritual being having a human experience. You get back in that spiritual mindset and you learn how to integrate the physical world in a way where you dip, but you don't dwell in that dipping and build your identity from that place. It's easy in the physical world, in this human incarnation, to stay in that space and assume it to be your truth and reality. Look at where you are, look at the dips you're in, the challenges you're in, the loops you're in, and allow them to be mirrors to show you what maybe you are accepting, maybe you're not aware of, and give yourself permission to work through them in a way, again, where you come back home to yourself safely.
Welcome to another episode from Loneliness to Overflow with Matina. Today's conversation is about how do we tune into our own bodies and our own soul and hear the whispers that we, as women especially, do hear. But
Mm-hmm.
can we attend to it? Can we hear them? Can we allow that tuning to be louder so that we can act into the right way for ourselves first? So, my guest today is Karen, and I really truly adored her when we met first at an event.
Likewise.
And we connected because we had the same notebook that we were writing in, different color, but still the same.
Yes.
And it has a beautiful saying and a heart on it. Now, what does a heart represent? A heart represents the purity that we behold within ourselves that then expands into the world with or without our knowing. Sometimes we are aware how we are affecting others, and other times we are not. This beautiful soul affected the connection at that time, and it really became a great friendship that blooms through it. And now we are here, and I can't wait for you to hear Kieran's story. So, welcome, Kieran.
Thank you so much, Matina, for having me here. I'm honestly so grateful to share this beautiful space with you and to reach whoever's heart and ears need to be reached through our conversation. And likewise, it was lovely meeting you. And, who would have thought having the same journal, but in a different color, would have been the connection piece. So, the universe has a beautiful way of connecting people at the right time.
I 100% believe that, and I am so grateful it did.
Thank you.
You touched upon something very beautifully, where it's like either receiver, the listener receive exactly the message they're meant to receive right now. And that on its own is absolutely the intention for us to even have this conversation and even go into the painful parts of our own journey so that someone else can find community,
Right,
feel less alone.
right, right.
And also recognize that we all are on a journey here. There's
100%.
no one further or higher or lower. This whole hierarchy that we live in this world, when you even everything out, we're all connected on a soul level.
100%.
So, with that said, Karen, what was your loneliness or disconnection moment that actually has now led you into your?
I think there's so many moments where I felt that in my journey since I was a child. But I think the one that was the biggest initiator for me was when I had my collapse 15 years ago. And I'm going to explain a little bit about that so whoever's listening can hopefully resonate with it and maybe they've gone through something similar. And hopefully I'll be able to help them get through it with more faith, more reverence, and more grace. So this experience that I had 15 years ago, March 16th, 2011 to be exact, I had come home from a new job that I had just started. It was a recruiting manager job with a really nice staffing firm. And I was very excited to start, felt like my normal day. I'm going in with all hands and feet on deck and, conquering the day and getting to the bottom line, right? Enjoying myself there. And I come home March 15th and I am not feeling good all of a sudden. I just feel like I just feel off. And My stomach feels weird. It's not feeling good. So I didn't think much of it because, we've had stomach aches before and, we go through them and we let them run their course and then we just move forward from them without, diagnosing ourselves in any way or assuming anything greater from them. And when I noticed that I kept feeling off, then I started to throw up a lot that evening. And I just kept throwing up and throwing up and throwing up. Like my body was massively purging. Obviously thrown up before, but not to this degree. The quantity was it was a lot, just constantly throwing up, throwing up, throwing up. And I just thought, oh, I had a spinach salad for lunch. I remember that day. And I thought, oh, maybe there's just something in the spinach that my body just didn't feel like, digesting. So the evening went on, continued the throwing up. And I just said to my husband, I got to go lie down now. I'm not feeling obviously the greatest and I just need to rest. I was really tired from the vomiting, of course. And I ended up falling asleep, but then I kept on throwing up. So it wasn't just like for a small period. It was like throughout the whole evening to like the morning. And again, I didn't think much of it, Matina, because I thought, oh, again, I'm fine. I'm strong. The ego was always like Wonder Woman ego. Everything's going to be okay. Keep going, Karen, which is great. But there was more that was happening while this was actually happening. So I remember getting up the next morning, extremely exhausted from throwing up, very dehydrated, not realizing that I wasn't as coherent as my blood pressure had dropped down significantly from all the throwing up. Didn't realize that I was pretty much really dehydrated at that point, or dehydrated enough to be concerned. And I got up and I just said to my husband, I need to go downstairs and I need to go grab some water. I just kept having this feeling and visions of water, cold ice, water, cold water, cold ice, and just drink, 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 drink. So I started to make my way down the stairs in my house. It's the house I'm currently living in right now. And as I was going down the stairs, my husband said to me, you don't have to go downstairs. I'll get it for you. And I said, no, it's fine. Like he was up all night with our kids as well. Like my children were 6 and 2 at the time. And I just thought it's not fair to him. He was up watching me throw up, helping me. He had to go to work. We had to drop off our kids, the normal stuff. So I went downstairs, not realizing that maybe I wasn't coherent enough. But I went down anyways, and I've always pushed the limits like that. And I went to get my glass of water. And when I did, the last thing I remember is I put my glass of water on the counter and I said to myself, why is this room spinning? And then from there, I just blacked out and I collapsed backwards, fell backwards, and hit my head really hard on my kitchen ceramic tiles. And my husband, thank God, like he's, sort of privy and anxious to noises, and he's always concerned what noises are happening around the house. He ran downstairs and he saw me laying flat on my back. And he said to me, when he found me, it appeared that I wasn't breathing. My eyes were rolled back, my teeth were clenched, and I was very stiff. And I wasn't responding to him when he was calling my name. So he thought that I had passed away. So he called 911 and he called 911 and I just remember slowly I started regaining consciousness. I couldn't see clearly because I suppose the impact to the head affect my vision. I just remember looking to the right and I saw my husband and my kids. I could see their silhouettes, but I couldn't see their faces clearly. And just seeing and feeling people lifting me up on something. I thought I was dreaming because I was like, what just happened? Right? Like yesterday I was at work in this new job. What happened? But anyways, as I got into the ambulance, all of a sudden the back of my head just started hurting so much back here. And it felt like somebody had taken a 2x4 and it just hit me so many times there. And I was like, oh my God, what's happened to me? And I didn't realize what had happened. Then as soon as I got to the hospital, took me to Emerge and they had done a quick CAT scan and they had said, oh, Mrs. Verdi, you have suffered a concussion. They didn't tell me that I had some hemorrhaging here. I had read the report after, but we're going to keep you in the hospital for a few days and monitor you because there's blood on the brain, which was a lot right here on the left side here. And we want to make sure you don't clot, right? For obvious reasons. So I just remember And this is a moment where, to answer your question, where I felt really lonely. And I'll share more of that after, the lonely aspect of it. I just remember sitting there because I was 35 at the time. And I just thought, I was in the hospital room in my bed with my husband there. And I just thought, oh my God, I'm going to die. Like I literally felt for the first time legit I was going to die. And I remember saying to myself, and I'm going to try not to get emotional. I remember saying and just looking up, it's like my higher self was already there with me, right? Already kicking in and trying to get my attention. And I just remember looking up and I said, God, please don't let me die. My kids need me. Like they were only 6 and 2. And I thought, don't, like they need their mother. I have so much still left to do on earth. So that was a part of me that was playing like on repeat. But then there was that part of me that was like, no, I'm going to die. This is it for me at 35. So I was battling all that while sitting in my bed. And then the doctor eventually came and said, we're going to again keep you here, but for a couple of days, you're not, your brain looks fine. If not, we'll have to do emergency brain surgery, but you need to go home and rest for about 3 weeks. I panicked. And this is not something I've shared before, but I panicked because I thought, well, I have to go back to my old life. I have this job that I'm still in my probationary period in. I have to bring in my paycheck. I have to feed my kids, pay the bills. I have things to do. I can't be home sitting around healing from a concussion, right? That was my thought pattern back then, not understanding that this was something that was going to be pivoting me to something greater because the survival part of me kicked in. So I stayed home for 3 weeks. I was discharged, stayed home for 3 weeks, very restless in that 3 week period of time. And eventually, from about 2011 to about 2013, I felt really down, really anxious, very lonely, very fearful. I would say at times very depressed as well, too, because I felt like I hit my rock bottom, Matina, at that time. I've had a lot of stuff that I've experienced as a cycle breaker, but this felt like a massive punishment. And I remember saying to God and being very angry at God and saying, why do you keep on giving me these kind of experiences in my life? Why do you keep on putting me through the ringer, essentially? And I was mad at life. I was mad at the world. I just was mad at everything because I felt I was always been such a good person, trying my best, helping, doing everything. Why am I constantly being kicked? Right? But little did I know that there was other plans that I was being able to birth from this. So as that period continued for about 2 years, and this experience really revealed my belief systems that I had inherited and which I'm really grateful for, which I'll talk about in a moment about as well. This experience, like, it shook me to my core, but there was a lot of synchronistic things that happened in the process. Like when I was at the hospital, and this is important for me to share too, because this is a part of faith and trusting when you're literally, it feels like you're rock bottom. When I was sitting in the hospital bed, I remember when the nurse was going to come to take some blood from me, a voice in me said, if they come to you and they take your blood essentially, and they come back to you after they've reviewed it and they say nothing's wrong, this is something from the universe. I'm not sure at that point how that would even come through because I wasn't consciously thinking of that. I was thinking more, I got to get out of here. I got bills to pay. I got things to do. I got to take care of my kids. I got to cook. I got to clean. All those things we're hyper about, right? So that was something there. And I held on to that. But like, as much as I wanted to, I felt very lonely in that moment, very like the world's against me in that moment. But as much as I felt that, there was this knowing that something else, like this record that was playing, like something else is going to happen for you, right? So I was teeter-tottering in this phase between those two, my reality that I was experiencing and this other higher voice in me that was guiding me. So fast forward, I get to about 2013.
I want to stop here there for a second though, because what you're sharing here, Karen, is something that a lot of women specifically feel. They have this pressure on themselves to perform, to
Yes.
show up for everything, to show up for everyone, to be the strong one who is like on a mission, like really truly on a mission to prove that she can do it all.
Yeah. Yes.
And what you're sharing here is like when that identity is ripped from you, and you're now being told to rest,
Yes.
to recover, to think about yourself, and that has never been a part of your identity, it becomes a very difficult journey to even surrender to that thought.
Yes.
And here you are, where you had no other choice than to surrender.
100%.
And
100%.
still, things were taken care of. Not in the degree that you would want it to,
Right.
but they were still taken care of.
Yes.
So before you start the next part of your journey, I really want you to share a bit more as to how things were taken care of and how things did and how people did show up.
Well, I'm going to be honest, a lot of people didn't show up for me. And I'm talking about the people that maybe I expected to. But what did show up is me for myself in a way that I always had the capacity to, but couldn't connect with it as deep as I was going to because of the programming that was running through me. So this was like a come back home moment for me. What for the first time felt like I could actually breathe better because it was the moment where I was standing outside of this bedroom that I'm in right now. I have like this railing and I have like these two French doors in a raised room just below. And I remember standing by the railing and this was about maybe 2013-ish, the beginning of 2013, I would say, if I'm not mistaken. I was standing there just thinking of my life and self-reflecting because I've always been a self-reflector naturally as a child as well too. And I just thinking of my life because it was so different all of a sudden from what I thought I had to do. And this beautiful, warm energy just moved through me, like it circled literally through me. And I could capture it circling through me. And it said to me, everything's going to be okay. And I remember so vividly, Matina, like I smiled from ear to ear. I felt this sense of like I could actually breathe again and actually breathe maybe even for the first time. I knew somewhere I was underneath that feeling I was actually going to be okay. And that was not something I always felt, right? So from that point, I knew that this was like an initiation back home to me, back to me. And then I began from here learning how to surrender, which is essentially getting out of my way, still showing up the way I would want to, but trusting there's other forces that are working with me and to work on my nervous system eventually and my mindset and beliefs so that I can allow what wants to come through, right? But still do what I need to do in my common hour. Yeah.
So you were supported only by forces, just
There you
people.
go. There you go. There you go. There you
And
go.
even this, even this innate knowing of our gut, this innate feeling of just having the certainty that things are going to work out, that things are, even though it's hard and difficult right now, it's going to happen in a way that's going to help you to your next level. There's a lot to be said for that.
Yes.
And this part of our brain doesn't always comprehend as to how and when and where and all of those questions that we have, but this heart center is just calm and steady, and it's like, I know we're going to make it. I know things are going to work out. I
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
how powerful you are. So
Yes.
when you're sharing, I can feel the pain, but I also, more than that, feel your strength.
Thank you.
So, okay, now we're in 2013. What happened? What transpired next?
Yes. So I had what felt like this fire lit in me. And one of the first things I wanted to do was do something different. So I haven't really shared this as well too, but I'm just allowing myself to share what needs to be shared. I ended up booking a trip with my sister, my husband, and my kids to New York, something that I felt I wanted to do to get out of this funky place that I've been in, which felt like most of my life. And I could see when I was in that space, in that New York, just making that choice, it was like, you're going to be okay. You're allowed to have fun. You're allowed to experience this. You don't always have to be worried about your bills. You don't always have to be worried about money or your mortgage or things like that. Like you're allowed to have fun because I've always had the perception that fun is something you do once in a while. you have to earn it all the time. And, you're kind of made to feel guilty. Well, if I didn't work or I didn't earn, then okay. Or if I'm resting, that's not good. So there was so much that was revealed to me from just that trip and even coming back and doing the work and getting into that space where I could continue to let go of what I felt I had to do and allow what wanted to come through to come through. So how I started getting into this space stronger was all of a sudden the desire to want to meditate. I've never wanted to meditate before. And the desire to meditate and sit with myself and understand, because I've always had racy thoughts, understand, well, what is it that I'm feeling? And I followed the feelings more. I followed more of that intuitive guidance that has always been there that we're all born with, but I actually allowed the volume of it to go higher. So I started meditating and I discovered so much about myself and the world from that space. I just couldn't believe that from just that experience, Matina, how much alone I gained, how much more connection I felt with myself, my thoughts, my soul, understanding the people around me better, understanding the unity and oneness that we all have with each other. Like it's always within us. You just remember it when you've gone through sometimes these rock bottom moments and they take you back to that place because that's the ultimate goal, remembering that, right? And I just remember then I wanted to start writing affirmations and focusing on my gratitude practice. Like it was all just lining up. Like these were all the gifts that I was gaining. And I just shared a little bit of my collapse. Like there's so much more to it, but so much was gained from it. And I got to sit down, journal for the first time in my life, and actually understand through this collapse, because I was away from the physical spaces that I felt I always had to be in. And I was in a space now where I want to be in and understand. I was able to understand more of my beliefs, my patterns, where I still needed healing, what I had not forgiven, what I had still was hanging on to, what was creating so much fear and anxiety in me, where I was blocked financially. Like I was able to discover so much from this experience. And this experience slowed me down. While it was lonely, because you can't explain this to everybody that, look, I had this like mystical feeling or moment, or I had this download. Majority of the people you relate to can look at you and think you're nuts when you say that, right? So that there was a lot of loneliness, and I've always felt kind of lonely, right? Because when you have your own mission, sometimes in a world where people just sometimes need to catch up in their mission, you can kind of feel like, well, where do I belong? Because I've got all this awareness, and who understands it around me, right? But I used all of that pain, and this is very important for the souls that are going to listen to this. I used the pain that I had been carrying to create something so beautiful and aligned for me. And one of the beautiful things I was able to birth from this was this wellness practice that I have as a spiritual and mindset coach. I never would have thought, Matina, in a million years that I would be home, being able to raise my kids, find what feels like my purpose, and be fulfilled, because I've always known the opposite of that. You have to work hard. You got to hustle, 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 work till you're bone tired. I didn't understand that my nervous system was so deprogrammed for wellness and expansion.
Your nervous system was so deprogrammed from wellness and self care. Like, let that land, people, because in this world of hustle, that's where we are at. We don't recognize how our body is signaling to us that something is wrong. Something is not right. You're chasing the wrong horse right now.
Right.
Stop, assess, reflect. And when we do give ourselves that time in your journey, what you're sharing, Karen, and what I'm picking up on is this deep rooted loneliness, but at the same time, connection. And it's so hard to explain this. Okay. Anyone who has not have gone through it, they hear it with their mind. They don't hear it with their soul.
Right.
So that's the journey that you're on. You're on the journey of understanding from your mind to your heart to your soul to being able to experience something different, something bigger, something wider.
Yes.
that is ready, available for you.
That's right.
Karen, my goodness, as you're talking, like the tears are falling. I can feel the emotions. I can feel all of that difficultness. And I resonate to a certain degree. Now, I didn't have a fall. I didn't have the health challenges in the way that you had. Yet, I had my own tower moment, if you will. I had my own experience where it's like, wow, hold on. You would never been this place at this time in the way that we're living our lives and serving others in the moment had we not gone through that.
Right.
And hindsight is always different experience than when you're in it. But what you're sharing here, Karen, is like when you were in it.
Yes.
You were able to receive the guidance. You were able to sit yourself down and meditate, sit yourself down and journal, express yourself, reflect on your emotions, understand the patterns, understand the belief systems, understand what was yours to carry and what was actually given to you by your ancestors and
Right.
never for you to carry.
That's right.
There's so much that comes in play when we are retrieving from the world
Yes.
and opening the Pandora box of ourselves to discover what else and who else am I other than all the identities that I've attached myself.
Right.
What you also share is a lot of these identities that you had attached yourself to came to fall apart.
Right. Yes.
The
Yes.
people went away, the roles of the thriver and always chasing the next best opportunity and striving till your bones hurt versus now being in alignment, being in connection, being with your own body and soul to identify, to recognize, to be present with what is truly yours to share.
Right. Right.
And then build this beautiful wellness clinic that helps people understand their mindset, understand their own specific journey to get them to that next level for themselves.
100%.
How would you say, or what message would you want to give someone who is going through their own tower moment right now and isn't sure what the next step is?
I think maybe the best message or one of the messages I can give is don't try not to resist what you're feeling. Just let yourself feel it, maybe get a little bit more cozier with it and understand that these feelings you have, these moments that feel like a tower moment, change your perception and because when you change your perception, things will change for you. To understand that what if there's something that wants to be revealed to me? Because this was true in my case, and this is true with people I work with when I get to help them get to this point. This is true for so many people that we see in the world. Like build that resiliency within you because you're naturally born resilient to work with the moments where you feel like you're breaking and to hold them enough so that you're grounded like a tree. The branches and leaves might move in the storm, but you're still grounded. That's what we have to learn and remember to come back to. And this is where we are our most powerful. You become more powerful when you go through adversity because you have many different starting points that are being revealed to you through your adversity. And then you start to remember your natural state. Right? You're a spiritual being having a human experience. You get back in that spiritual mindset and you learn how to integrate the physical world in a way where, yeah, you dip, but you don't dwell in that dipping and build your identity from that place. Because it's easy in the physical world, in this human incarnation, to stay in that space, Matina, and assume it to be your truth and reality. No, look at where you are. Look at the dips you're in, the challenges you're in, the loops you're in, and allow them to be mirrors to show you what maybe you are accepting, maybe you're not aware of, and give yourself permission to work through them in a way, again, where you come back home to yourself safely as you experience them. So to recap, to answer your question is, don't resist what you're feeling. Just allow yourself because the feeling is not wrong. It's just a messenger.
Because yes, every single feeling is a message. It brings a message.
Yes.
And when
Yes.
we can sit still in it and we ask, okay, anxiety, I'm feeling anxious.
Yep.
What is your message today?
Right.
What do you want me to know? And you get quiet and you listen. Maybe that is a feeling that you get in your body. Maybe it's something you hear. Maybe it's something you see in a vision. Maybe it's something you don't even recognize in that moment, but a minute or 10 after, you are shown something. Because
Right.
what you're actually doing, you're opening yourself up for the answer
That's
and
right.
you're asking quality questions. So,
Right.
yes to
That-
feeling, people.
Right. Exactly. And I'm happy that kind of came through to share, because I feel like most of my life, Matina, especially prior to my collapse at home, I felt I always had to feel good. Look, it's great to feel good. I love feeling great. It's a blessing to feel that way. But that is a natural byproduct when you're able to work through this thing called life in a way where there is gratitude, love, compassion, understanding, working through it with the heart. This experience allowed me to get really vulnerable with myself and remember that, Karen, it's okay if you don't feel good today. It's okay to be in a bad mood today. I mean, obviously, I don't want it to become part of my norm so much that everywhere I go, I am yelling at people or hurting people. No, it's about honoring the moment, letting it move through you, and then returning back to a state where you feel balanced again. Let's use the word balanced, more powerful, more aware from what you've experienced. And it's just important to remember that.
Absolutely. Even the yin and yang,
Yes.
right? The white part has a black dot in it. The dark part has a white spot in it,
Right.
right? It's harmony. It's being able to walk the balance of the snake, if you will,
Yes.
the yin and yang, where you have the balance of both worlds. When you're in the white part of things where everything feels great and feels good, but then you have moments and days where you're off and you're kind of tiptoeing the black part in and out, that's okay.
It's
And
okay.
that's really what you're saying, Karen, where it's like we must allow that.
You have to allow it. I think it's imperative, because you learn so much when you feel that way. Your communication strengthens, your consciousness strengthens, your connection to source strengthens, your ability to handle the people around you strengthens. Like, you get to look at everybody from a different light. Your ability to make quality choices for yourself and to build a life that means so much more than it could to somebody else because of what you've gone through, because you appreciate the lows and you've transcended them into something very high and very, very giving. Yeah.
Yes, 100% yes. And what you're sharing here is so pivotal because not only did you allow yourself to feel,
Yes.
you allowed yourself to express.
That's right.
You allowed yourself to find new ways, to listen into the whispers, to hear the heart sing again.
Yes.
What is your singing heart moment?
My singing heart moment, again, there's several of them. I think one that stands out the most for me post collapse is in 2014, I really started to embrace who I was, and my confidence just seemed to skyrocket so much after what felt like so many years of it being dormant. And I just was at this event with my sister, and just the way I was received, the way I showed up was unlike what I've experienced before. And it felt incredible, to say the very least. Like, it was such a beautiful moment of, wow, you deserve this. Wow, this is available for you. Wow, this can happen. And it was just a beautiful energy compared to what I've always been used to with the people I've always been around. It was just beautiful. And I met some amazing people from that event. And, I've had so many moments like this, especially with the work that I get to do, because it shows me that if I had given up and I had gone back to the old life I was in corporate and made the same choices and had the same beliefs, I wouldn't have been able to birth this beautiful coaching practice and be able to help other people see their potential, right? And now wanting to work more with the youth and helping them understand how to critically think, how to use their subconscious mind, how to understand goals and how to communicate has been such a joy and gift for me. So it's every day I think I feel this because of the blessing of the work that I get to do and the messages I get to share. Yeah. Yes,
There is such a blessing to help and serve others.
there
And
is.
there's also such a blessing in utilizing and knowing that our pain was not for nothing. It brought us back to ourselves. It brought us back to this higher, beautiful experience of life that we are in, the overflow of life that we are in, and how we continue to build upon that, how we continue to grow into the next version of ourselves.
That's
Now,
right.
we have a little ritual on this podcast, which
Okay.
is I'm going to ask you a question that the previous guest has left.
Okay.
And then once we're done, I'll ask you to leave a question. But for right now, what your question is,
Okay.
if I were to talk to you about the thirst of the heart,
Okay.
what would that mean to you?
The thirst of the heart would mean to me the passion that lies within there, the calling that lies within there, and the love that lies within there, and being able to share that, those three things I mentioned, with yourself first and foremost, with the people you love, and the world in your unique way.
What's your calling? That's my question for you.
My calling is to help you find freedom from your suffering and start using your mind to start building a life through design, to help you step into your potential, to find that purpose in pain, and to enjoy this beautiful life. Yes,
Thank you so much for sharing that, Karen.
of course.
Anyone who feels inspired by this conversation, by her journey, please reach out. All the links are in the description below. This is about connecting. This is about reflecting. This is about understanding where you are at in your journey and finding the right people who have lived through it or who you are having a connection with. Because even that is important.
That's right.
Tune into how is your body responding to this conversation? How is your mind responding to this conversation? What questions are coming up for you?
Right.
And if you feel inspired, please share those questions with us in the comments below. We will attend to them as well. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, everyone. Thank you for spending your time here. Sharing your reflections in the comments or passing this conversation along helps this space reach people who are looking for support and don't always know where to turn. Take a breath as you transition back into your day and notice what's present now. I'll meet you again next week.